Hi everyone. Well, all good things must come to an end, and we are finally at the last video. I think I have 5 at this point, which means I'll be able to post a video each day next week, which is something that very rarely happens, so that's pretty interesting. So we are on the last video. This is my last stack of books. As I said, these were books that were purchased throughout the year. I just didn't have the energy to do a book haul and thought, you know what, let me just do them all at once because they can sometimes take a lot of time. So this is my last stack of books. So I'm gonna do this one last. Okay, here we are. All right. So this book was written by an Afro-Indigenous writer out of Toronto named Zainab Amadi, and I'm gonna read this. So in this unchanged, re-released from the original 1998 novel, an ensemble of characters resist the consortium and their peacekeeping protectors in an effort to stop the destructive mining of Quilladon, the galaxy's most valuable resource. Idealistic, earthborn Major Laith Eaglefeather believes he's on Palmaris to protect its citizens as well as its Quilladon mines from the shadowy rebels called the Katua. But after a few weeks on the beautiful, unspoiled Violet planet, he's beginning to realize there's another side to the story. The so-called peacekeeping forces are behaving more like an occupying army. Are Eaglefeather's superiors hiding the truth? And can he really trust Zaria, the lovely but contentious local dancer whom he's enlisted as a spy? Zaria, a queen, has her own agenda. The new Major's infatuation with her is strategically useful. But what if he finds out she's a double agent? If she must, will she have the nerve to kill for her planet's survival? What if the person she must kill has become her friend? It's an unfortunate but timeless story, the struggle for sovereignty against colonization. This is social justice-oriented science fiction or climate fiction, sci-fi. This was published by Future History Press. And Zainab Amadi is based in a peri-apocalyptic Toronto, where she is challenged to balance her time as a novelist, a non-fiction writer, lyricist, screenwriter, educator, and mom to 3 sons, as well as a male cat. She loves to engage with readers. The Moons of Palmaris, and this came out in 2013, and I purchased this. Actually, I purchased this in March of 2021, so this has been a while. I don't think, there's nothing more that I haven't said, so this is The Moons of Palmaris. And I found out about Zainab's writing because I was reading Toronto 2033, which is a collection of short works of futurist fiction, and Zainab had a short story in there that was so compelling. So I was like, what else has she written? All right, now we're getting into a bit of the graphic works here. This is Artie and the Wolf Moon by Olivia Stevens. After sneaking out against her mother's wishes, Artie Irvin spots a massive wolf in the nearby woods. Then she sees it shift into her mom. Thrilled to find she comes from a line of werewolves, Artie asks her mom to share everything, including the story of Artie's father. To help Artie figure out her wolf-like abilities, her mom recruits some old family friends. Artie thrives in her new community, even if she can't quite shift at will yet. But as she learns more about werewolves and her parents' past, she'll discover that wolves aren't the scariest thing in the woods. Vampires are. So just the colors are really bright and fun, and also dark and fun. I love dogs with red eyes, so we saw that in Bad Witch Burning, so this is it again. It's a graphic dark fantasy book, and I enjoy... Let's see. I see here Olivia Strong. Let's just look at her. Yeah, so she's a graphic novelist, illustrator, and writer from the Pacific Northwest. She's illustrated for a number of publications, including Fire Literary Magazine of Black Speculative Fiction. And so this is great. So this is Olivia Stevens, and I found out about her through Faya Khan. Okay, now my battery is running out, so if this gets cut off and it starts over, you know why. This one's called The Day the Klan Came to Town, and the foreword was written by P. Djeli Clark. This was by Bill Campbell, I believe. Written by Bill Campbell, and the art was by Bizan Kodabane. And the year is 1923. The Ku Klux Klan is at the height of its power in the U.S. as its membership swells into the millions, and they expand beyond their original southern borders. As they continue their campaigns of terror against African Americans, their targets now also include Catholics and Jews, Southern and Eastern Europeans, and all in the name of white supremacy. Incorporating messages of moral decency, family values, and temperance, the Klan has slapped on a thin veneer of respectability and has become a civic organization attracting new members, law enforcement, and politicians to their particular brand of white Anglo-Saxon and Protestant Americanism. This is Pennsylvania enthusiastically joined that wave. That was when the Grand Dragon of Pennsylvania decided to display the Klan's newfound power in a show of force. He chose a small town outside of Pittsburgh named after Andrew Carnegie, a small unassuming borough full of Catholics and Jews, the perfect place to teach immigrants a lesson. Some 30,000 members of the Klan gathered from as far away as Kentucky for Carnegie Day. After initiating new members, they armed themselves with torches and guns to descend upon the town to show them exactly what Americanism was all about. So this graphic novel, The Day the Klan Came to Town, is a fictionalized retelling of the riot, focusing on a Sicilian immigrant, Primo Salerno. He is not a leader, he's a man with a troubled past. He was pulled from the sulfur mines of Sicily as a teen to fight the First World War. Afterward, he became the focus of a local fascist and was forced to emigrate to the U.S. He doesn't want to fight, but feels that he may have no choice. The entire town needs him, and indeed, everybody, to make a stand. So, yes, I am... There's a lot of like really interesting graphic works of historical nonfiction. So this one was blurbed by P. Djeli Clark, by Damien Duffy, who's the author of Octavia Butler's Kindred, the graphic version. And so this is definitely going to be a multicultural cast, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So this is The Day the Klan Came to Town. Then we've got, I'm not going to talk about this one, but it's Far Sector. So this is N.K. Jemison's, so she wrote it. The introduction is by Gerard Way, and the art is by Jamal Campbell. So I read one issue of Far Sector, which is the Green Lantern stories with a very Janelle Monáe looking protagonist. So, just, looking forward to it. And I love light green and purple. This reminds me of the crystal fluorite. So, anyway, yes to this. And then we've got some middle grade writing. So this is Shuri. It's a Black Panther novel. With the heart-shaped herb thriving, a group of Wakanda's finest engineers working on expanding its dome technology and the borders more fortified than ever, Princess Shuri can finally focus on what matters, her training. But soon a bigger problem rears its head. The princess hears whispers of exceptionally talented young girls across the world going missing. A young environmental scientist in Kenya, a French physics prodigy. The list of the missing keeps growing and growing, and when this mystery hits home in a way the princess would never have expected, there's no more time for hesitation. There are lost girls out there somewhere, and Shuri is determined not to let them be forgotten. So missing children's trope, that's certainly something that we're hearing a lot about in the news right now. So I'm interested in finding out if, she's going to find out, if she's going to be sacrificial. Here, there's a bit of a twist to it because we don't know why they're missing. So what is it? Are they going to a secret school in the sky, or are they actually being kidnapped, and why? Nick Stone is new to me. Nick Stone is a New York Times bestselling author of the novels Dear Martin, Dear Justice, and Odd One Out. I haven't read any of those. She lives in Georgia, graduated from Spelman. This is Scholastic. It's part of the Wakanda world, and I'm interested in the Wakanda world, so here we are. All right, my battery is about to die, so I'm gonna stop here. And I've got 10 more books, and then we are done. I will see you in a second. All right, last 6 books. 7 books, okay. So, earlier, I talked about Linda Addison, who was one of the editors of Sycorax's Daughters. And I picked up 2 Linda Addison texts. So this is this is a selection of short stories written by Linda Addison and Alessandro Manzetti. It's called The Place of Broken Things. And in the front it says, "Readers shall inherit the world." Very cool. And ever since I learned more about Eugene Bacon's work, I've been interested in this idea of like writing collaboratively with other people. So this is a bunch of dark poetry and horror poetry written by both of these writers. So I love the collaborative writing. I don't read a lot of poetry, so I'm interested in how, you know, this helps me become more comfortable with reading poetry. And also, whenever you have 2 writers writing back and forth, it's interesting to see how their writing seems to sort of build on each other. Horror poetry, need I say more? I don't even know that I've ever read a lot of horror poetry, so that's kind of cool. And I'm ready. This was published in 2019. I'm ready. Interesting. We shall see. Also, we've got this. How to Recognize a Demon Has Become Your Friend. This is a collection of prose and verse by Linda Addison. Again, who doesn't need to know how to recognize a demon has become your friend? From the first African American to receive the H.W.A. Bram Stoker Award, this collection of both horror and science fiction short stories and poetry reveals demons in the most likely people, like a jealous ghost across the street, or in unlikely places, like the dimension-shifting dreams of an American Indian. Recognition is the first step. What you do with your friends/demons after that is up to you. So, like, as a Canadian, we don't really use the word... we use the word Aboriginal person or Indigenous person, mostly Indigenous persons. So I'll have to like see how I feel about that story when I get to it, and I'll talk about that for sure. But this looks really interesting. It looks like there are, no, I thought that there were illustrations. There's only one in the beginning of the book. There are many poems in it, so there's a lot there. Yeah, so let's see how to recognize a demon has become your friend. Let's see what happens. So there's that. Okay. Also, horror poetry, Can You Sign My Tentacle by Brandon O'Brien, with amazing cover art. I think I found out about this through LP Kindred. So Cthulhu meets hip-hop in this book of horror poems that flips the eldritch genre upside down. Lovecraftian-inspired nightmares are reversed as O'Brien asks readers to see blackness as radically significant. Can You Sign My Tentacle explores the monsters we know and the ones that hide behind racism, sexism, and violence, resulting in poems that are both comic and cosmic. This sounds amazing. Also tentacles. So this is an indie, 2021, Trinidad and Tobago born writer. The synopsis is amazing and it is very queer. So this was blurbed by P. Jelly Clark, Maurice Broaddus, and Tlotlo Samasi. So this is, yeah, Interstellar Flight Press is an indie speculative publishing house. They feature works from the best new writers in science fiction and fantasy. In the words of Ursula Le Guin, we need writers who can see alternatives to how we live now, can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and imagine real grounds for hope. So this is great. And similarly, This is more, so Adrienne Marie Brown, this is her first work of fiction. It is a novel called Grievers. It was blurbed by Ayanna A.H. Jameson, founder of the Octavia E. Butler Legacy Network. It was also blurbed by Tananarive Due. Dune's mother is patient zero of a mysterious illness that stops people in their tracks, in mid-sentence, mid-action, mid-life, casting them into a non-responsive state from which no one recovers. Dune must navigate poverty and the loss of her mother as Detroit's hospitals, morgues, and graveyards begin to overflow. As the quarantined city slowly empties of life, she investigates what caused the plague and what might end it, following in the footsteps of her late researcher father, who was a physical model of Detroit's history and losses set up in their basement. She dusts it off and begins tracking the sick and dying, discovering patterns, finding comrades in curiosity, conspiracies for the fertile ground of the city, and the unexpected magic that emerges when the debt of grief is cleared. So this is Adrienne Marie Brown's first novel. I'm excited to read it. Adrienne Marie Brown is amazing. You should find out more about her work. I've got Emergent Strategies, which is nonfiction collection of strategies sourced through her social justice work and framed through some of the learnings from Octavia E. Butler's works, particularly The Parable of the Sower and The Parable of the Talents. She's also written Pleasure Activism, which is exactly what it sounds like, and I'm working my way through that as well. And then there are a bunch of novellas, well, not novellas, I'm sorry, they're nonfiction works written in concert, in harmony with Emergent Strategies. So there are 3 or 4 of those that I have as well. One is written by Alexis Pauline Gumbs, another by Adrienne Marie Brown. So I'm looking forward to reading this, and that's all I can say. This novella is dedicated to Detroit and to the ancestors who inspired these characters. Yeah. Yeah, and I hope, I don't know if there is an audio version of this, but Adrienne Marie also has a lovely voice, a lovely speaking voice. So if there is an audio version of this, then I will definitely hybrid read this. This is $15 US, so it's very, very affordable for as far as novels go, for sure, and it's published by AK Press and part of their Black Dawn series. Their Black Dawn series is, where is it? They honor anarchist traditions and follow the great Octavia E. Butler's legacy. It explores themes that do not reinforce dependency and oppressive forces, and will generally express the values of anti-racism, feminism, anti-colonialism, and anti-capitalism. With its natural creation of alternative universes and world building, speculative fiction acts as a perfect tool for imagining how to bring forth a just and free world. The stories published here center queerness, blackness, anti-fascism, and celebrate voices previously disenfranchised, all who are essential in establishing a society in which no one is oppressed or exploited. So, this is Grievers by Adrienne Marie Brown. All right. So this collection, I didn't know very much about this, this anthology, but I was given a copy of this by Dave Ring at Neon Hemlock, which has published like a lot of really interesting queer works of speculative fiction. And when I read this, about this, I got very excited because I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this anthology, and I'm glad that I now do. So this is very recently, it came out 2021. It's called Unfettered Hexes, Queer Tales of Insatiable Darkness. Unfettered Hexes, Queer Tales of Insatiable Darkness. Gorgeous, dark cover. And then inside, you've got brilliant color here. And there are lots of pages with lovely illustrations. So it's just a juicy text with lots of illustrations, lots of color, and lots of juicy things inside. So why should you pick up Unfettered Hexes? So this is a speculative anthology of queer witches in infinite darkness and the knife edge between the sacred and the profane. And there are stories from writers I have heard of and stories from writers, and mostly from writers I've just never heard of, which is awesome. So some of the names I recognize are Alma Lavon Rice. I can't wait to read Alma's work. Susan Palumbo, who lives in Toronto, which is awesome. Chelsea Obadoechina, who I think also is Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. There's L.D. Lewis, who is the creatrix behind Viacom and also Violet Magazine and a number of other things. She's incredible. Tamara Jure, who I met at WizCon and who is a great short story writer. Also, who else? I think those are the only names I recognize just off the top of my head. But it says, find your coven, craft new rituals, and hex your enemies. So this is just a beautiful, such a beautiful collection of just queer, dark, magic stories. And I'm ready for it. Like, the art is just, look at this. So cool. And the cool thing about anthologies like this is that at the end, there's usually a little blurb about all the authors, and then it tells you about where you can find more of their writing. And so for emerging writers, you can learn about them and find out the magazines and the publications that they have been in. They all have like ways to get in touch with them, like Twitter or Insta or websites and stuff, and then you can like follow them as they, you know, continue in their careers. So this is great. So thank you very much, Dave, for giving me a copy of this. Now I have a very, very special book that I want to talk about, and it's special because the person who wrote it is very special, and also I can't wait to read it, and we're going to have a little thing about it at some point. This is How to Stay Alive, and this book is written by the lovely Shingai Njeri Kagunda. Yes, we share the name Njeri, which makes me very, very happy. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. This would have been an insta-buy for me because I want to follow everything that Njeri writes, and I love saying Njeri when I'm talking about another human. It makes me very happy. So she's my namesake. And this is How to Stay Alive. Nyokabi's world unravels after her brother Baraka's death by suicide. When an eccentric auntie gives Nyokabi a potion that sends her back in time to when Baraka was still alive, it becomes her only goal to keep him that way. But Kabi soon learns that while storytellers may be the carriers of time, defying the past comes with its own repercussions. So, okay, excited about this. This was blurbed by a bunch of people, including our Ebony Dunbar, who wrote Stone and, it's back there, Stone and Steel, I think it is. A little novella. I had an interview with Ebony Dunbar as part of the Written with Purpose series, so you can check that out and find out more about that book. And Ebony writes, the perfect read for everyone and anyone, which is awesome. And Charles Pacer writes, a story that hurts in the best of ways. Also, the beautiful cover is just really spectacular. You see that? So wonderful. And I don't want to know too much about it. This was also published by Neon Hemlock, which I think I'm learning has really gorgeous books with really lovely pictures inside. And yeah, so I'm very much ready for this novella, and so proud of Njeri for this coming out. So thank you very much. I received a complimentary copy of this book from Dave Ring and the folks at Neon Hemlock, so thank you for that. And we will be hosting some kind of post-launch party thing about this novella, so thank you very much for that. And then the last book that I'm going to talk about is actually another short story collection, and this is the science fiction and fantasy, the best American science fiction fantasy of 2021. I have the 2018, 2019. I don't have the 2020 for some reason, but I like collecting best ofs. And so this one was edited by and with an introduction by Veronica Roth, and what it is just that it's the best. It's all the science fiction shorts that have been published in 2020 20. And I guess they were all, I don't know exactly what their process is. This volume presents the best science fiction and fantasy short stories published in the 2020 calendar year. And it was selected by Veronica Roth and the editor. Well, that's the guest editor, but it says it refers to another person. John Joseph Adams, who's the editor of the entire series. So some of the names that I recognize are Tochi Onibuchi, How to Pay Reparations, a documentary. Shingai and Njeri Kagunda, and This Is How to Stay Alive. Celeste Rita Baker, Glass Bottle Dancer. Karen Lord, The Plague Doctors. And that's it. And I'm sure there'll be some others that I've forgotten. But if you want to just get a sense of what's out there and you don't want to specifically read Black science fiction and fantasy authors but want a more diverse group of folks, then these collections are really great. Okay, everyone. Tomi, we're done. This took hours and hours and hours. And I'm okay with it. This is good. So we have taken you through all of the books, all of the new, is there anything? Yeah, all of the books. Yes, all of the books that I have that are new. Some I think I might have spoken about before on Friday Reads videos and so on, but this is my last haul of 2021. My next haul will be at some point in the new year. And so any books that I get over the holidays or as gifts or anything like that will be featured in that haul. I just want to thank you so much for watching all of these videos. I hope that you have a unreasonable list in your Melanin Eclectic reading planners for books that you'd like to pick up for your loved ones or for your friends or for yourself at the end of this year or also next year. So please do, in the comments below, let me know if I've mentioned any books in this last video in the series that you are interested in reading or purchasing, or if there are any that you have already read. I would love to hear your thoughts. Of course, if you want to include spoilers, make sure that you say so in your comments so that folks know not to read past the word spoiler. And of course, please include an emoji in your comments. A stack of books would be great, and then any emoji that represents one of your favorite books that was featured in this video. Remember to read with purpose, because why else are we here? And I will see you in my next video, whenever that is and whatever it is. Talk to you soon. Bye.